Welcome to the Occult Rejects. We are your host. I am Jules, host of the Greypilled podcast, and this is Headless Giant, my co-host, another Occult Reject. Headless, what's going on, man? How you doing today?
How you doing, Jules? So you
Doing
can
all right.
find me at the Headless Giant podcast on YouTube and on X. I also post a lot there. There was a change in my schedule, so now I'm doing a Monday alchemy show. So if you guys are into alchemy and you want to find out how to do plant alchemy, I've got all the equipment ready, and we're going to have a great time going through all of that stuff on Monday. So it's going to be really interesting. To start things off, though, I got to back up to what we were doing last week. We were talking about Aristeus, and we were talking about this movie Begonia, and I put out a scathing review of that movie on my X account today. So if you guys want to, go over to my X account and read through that. This movie is a complete bastardization of the Begonia ritual and everything having to do with Greek culture, which is very ironic considering that the director is Greek himself. So the way that he characterizes this whole thing is 180 degrees different from the original stories about it. It's more than an Orphic insult towards these people. It's saying everybody has to die if you don't do what we say. So definitely check that review out because it's pathetic. Don't waste your money on the movie. It's really bad. The acting was pretty good, right, from a lot of these people, but these are not relatable characters, and it's definitely a globo homo garbage shit show. So go watch it. But today,
I was gonna say, you did go see that movie after our episode last week, and we started the episode off with a preview of that movie, and it looked pretty bizarre to say the least. But I could have guessed they were gonna take something natural and bastardize it, right? That's what Hollywood does. We're definitely used to it by now. But greetings, everyone, and good afternoon. Yeah, I did want to say he is the host of the Headless Giant podcast and also Headless's Mailbag every Thursday. I finally got the name right. So we are. I think we're talking today about Artemis. Isn't that right, Headless?
That is correct. We're talking
Diana.
about Artemis, Diana, and the relationship between that and the rustic world. So Artemis is associated with the moon, associated with hunting, and associated with her brother, Apollo, right? So they're twins. So there's this twin aspect as well. Now, the Diana in Roman mythology is less about the relationship to her brother Apollo and more about the idea that the moon is the grantor of crowns and significant figures in the polity. So there's a myth and a practice that James George Frazer goes into in his book series called The Golden Bough about the dying and rising gods and all these different cultures, called this is the Golden Bough ritual, right? So this is like the central focus of his book. Is he found out about this thing in Roman culture, and it fascinated him so much that he went out to all the rest of these surrounding cultures and found similar dying and rising god myths. James George Frazer died completely penniless and whatever because he dared to question the orthodoxy when it came to the dying and rising god myth. He said it was not uncommon and that Christianity wasn't really unique in that regard. So he was severely punished for his interest in the ancient world. But where we get this myth is this place outside of Rome. It's a district that is dedicated to Diana. That's important, right? Because at this district, they would have this golden bough ritual where they crown the king of the grove. So the king of this ancient holy grove would be crowned there based upon their status as a fleeing criminal fleeing slave, or some other thing. So this freed man, either by his own actions or by the actions of other people, would then go to this grove, retrieve a bough off of the top of the tree, and then fight against the current king of the grove, and whoever won to the death, right, would become the new king of the grove. And it sounds weird, but actually it's at the center of American life, and we just don't realize it. So one of the things
to the victors goes the spoils, right? I mean,
it's worse than that. Like
our always been the theme of everything.
Our presidency is the king of the grove.
Oh, absolutely.
So the president is that guy. This election process is sort of like this retelling of this golden bough myth. And James George Fraser didn't even make that connection. I don't know why, but if you look at the top of the Capitol building, maybe we can pull that up here.
Yeah, you want me to pull it up, or?
Yeah, sure. So at the top of the Capitol building is this statue of freedom, this Lady of Freedom, right? And so this statue is a very important part of this thing, because it's sitting in this Minerva-like structure, which is made out of the paths that go around the Capitol building.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now, this one was, this caused a lot of controversy in the day, because the president of the South, right? So the guy who was commanding the Southern forces insisted that she cannot wear the hat of the freed slave, which is the Phrygian cap.
That's a phoenix on her head, bro.
That is a phoenix on her head.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But this figure that they're showing here is sort of this Diana type figure, right? Mm-hmm. Statue of Freedom is really, really close to the Columbia type goddess, which we're in the District of Columbia, just like the District of Diana. And so Columbia is a syncretism with Diana, right? So it goes through a couple other phases over the years in terms of the literary syncretisms that they make. So Libertas would be another goddess of the Roman pantheon that is associated with Columbia.
Does this have to do with the Statue of Liberty as well?
Well, Statue of Liberty is a little bit different. She doesn't have some of the same things, but as you can see, if you go through some of the other pictures there, like the one with her standing in front of the Capitol, right? This is when they were doing the restoration. You can tell that she's got this Indian cloak that she's wearing, right?
Absolutely.
So this is like a symbol of the frontiers, right? She's a rustic goddess.
Right.
She's not just this goddess of liberty, she's also a goddess of the frontier. And if you look through all of the depictions of Columbia in popular media as this figure of westward expansion, you also have that frontier sort of spirit as well. So Columbia, Diana, Artemis, they're all kind of in this frontier or rustic goddess motif, right? And so as she's standing on top of the whole world, which is also very important there, this is the globus cruciger idea. They're saying we are the global empire, right? Mm-hmm. What they're saying is that, she's the goddess who gives us strength to go forward and conquer everything, right? So it's less about hunting and more about like hunting people. We can subjugate all of the people under this goddess of freedom. Right. But Jefferson Davis was very, very adamant, and he actually led a whole coalition of people to make sure that she didn't have the cap of the freed slave, the Phrygian cap, on her head. But these are eagle feathers again, and this is more of an eagle motif. Can you pull up a overview of the Capitol building? This is also really important, because what's under the Capitol.
Don't get me started with the Osirian tomb under the Capitol.
It's not that. It's got to be zoomed out more, because in the paths around it, you can see this massive owl structure.
Hold on. All right.
If you just, because like they try to obscure it, they try to hide it, but this owl is this
Wait a minute.
Minerval type symbol.
Here we go.
There we go. Yeah. So turn that, 60 degrees up, and then you'll see, or not 60, but 90
Well, yeah,
degrees up.
there's the owl's head right here, right? The
That's
eyes.
the two eyes, right?
Yeah.
That's the belly, right, in the capital itself. And then
belly of the beast, dude.
Literally the belly of the beast. Now, this is the same kind of owl-like figure that you see out at Bohemian Grove. So between the owl on this side and the owl on that side, everything is being watched, right? So this is the idea. We see at night. We have the wisdom to see what you don't. And this is a good example of that, because if you're not looking at this geoglyph, that's a geoglyph, right? Just like in South America, where they made all these structures in the desert that people could only see from above. That's what this is. It's a geoglyph that can only be seen from above. You're not going to be able to see it walking around on the paths themselves. That's important. That's part of their magic. When they say, hey, America's based on Christian ideals or whatever, you got to bring up stuff like this. This is part of their religion. So this is the wisdom to see in the dark.
Minerva, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have Google Maps? Because we could just zoom right out from Google Maps and go over to the other, other angles.
Let me go to Google Maps real fast if you want to keep talking.
You got it. So what's also important about this is that the direction it's facing is the west. So the east side is the top of the owl's head as the sun's coming up.
What do I type in on maps?
Just Washington, D.C. and zoom in on that Capitol building, and we'll keep going down the line. Further west. And again, District of Diana, right? Diana Nemorensis, this Diana place in Rome, right, is very closely associated to this place in America via the symbolism. So we're seeing the Diana symbolism right there in Washington, D.C., right on top of the Capitol building, very Diana-like figure. And also this Diana Nemorensis, right? And Nemorensis is this Lake Nemi, right? That's where the grove was at, is at this Lake Nemi in Rome. And this is where the ritual would take place. Now, Nero is the one that rigged it. He rigged the ritual and then destroyed it for Rome, right? So he wanted to get his guy as sort of like the spiritual head of the Roman religion by rigging the King of the Grove ritual so that his guy could be like this high priest type figure. Well, obviously it lost importance at that point. Yo, guess who it is?
Who is it?
What up? What up?
There he is.
Oh, there he is. Hey, bud.
What's going on? Sorry about that.
Feeling better?
No, you're good. You're good. Glad you're here. Glad you're here.
So let's look at this map. Did you find the Capitol?
Yeah.
That's the White House.
I lied.
Go.
Okay. Where? Okay, so I'm trying to.
East.
Okay, how do
Come
I
down,
do the directions?
that's the Washington Monument. You just pull
how
it.
do I do the directions on the map, Headless? How? It's
Can
not
you click
letting
and
me
then pull it?
Huh?
Well, if you zoom out, that should work too.
Oh, gosh,
Zoom out. All right, so the Capitol building is right here.
Where?
Right, and the reflecting pool. Yeah, there you go. Click on that.
I'm blind.
Click on the Capitol.
Where's the Capitol, dude? I'm bad at this.
Right over. Okay, you got that big green strip. That green strip. If you go to the end of that green strip, that's the Capitol building over there. Yeah, it's the horizontal
Capitol
one.
Hill.
Yeah, it's the one that
Capitol
goes
Hill.
right along. Yep. Click on. There you go. Now that's where the owl is, right up there on Capitol Hill. If zoom out a little bit more.
I see it
Right, so
right here on the
you can
left.
see it right there. Right. So that's the start of the Washington Mall, this big strip going all the way over to the Lincoln Memorial, right along Constitution Avenue, right above it. It's going all the way over to that Lincoln Memorial. That's where, You've got the veneration of Artemis. No, you got to go west.
Yeah, I'm trying. It's not
just keep zooming out. Keep zooming out. Oh, too far.
Too far.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Jeez.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna let you do this next time.
So if you go down the mall all the way, you'll hit the reflecting pool. Now, this Lake Nemi is called Diana's Mirror, right? So you've got the District of Columbia with Artemis on top of the Capitol, the reflecting pool right in front of a sacrificed king, Abraham Lincoln. That's weird.
This is
right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got that green strip right there, right? So right. Oh, too far.
I'm telling you, I don't know how to control this thing.
Click on the Capitol again. Let me see if I can.
Yeah, you try and do it because it's not letting me scroll over at all.
All right.
It's being weird. I don't like it.
No, sir, I don't like it.
Yeah. I don't know what it's doing.
But that east to west road right there is Constitution Avenue. That's what the whole thing is laid out on. That's what the Freemasons wanted the entire thing to be oriented to.
Here, I'm gonna if y'all want to pull it up, and
I got it.
Okay.
So let me share my screen here. All right, so
it may have to do with me having a MacBook, but
so right here in the middle of this procession, this Washington Monument right here, we see the Vesica Pisces, right? So this is two big circles right there with this vagina in the middle, right? And so the vagina underneath the penis, Washington Monument, represents that fertility ritual, right? So you've got this Lake Nemi, this fertility ritual, including this, these two circles around the Washington Monument, creating the Vesica Pisces, or this vaginal canal, right, is right there underneath that thing. Now, also, they had to put the World War II memorial right in front of that reflecting pool. They didn't want it. This was actually privately funded. So I think the Freemasons were pretty much opposed to anybody changing this Washington Mall. But this reflecting pool right here, man, you see how the District of Columbia almost makes a perfect square? Well, if you go down here, you'll still find the boundary stones. This was supposed to be a cube. She's supposed to be sitting on top of the cube in her district, right? The city of Seven Hills, Rome, Maryland, right? So it's no wonder they would put so much detail into this Roman thing and then have this Roman temple with this sacrificed king right at the end of that huge reflecting pool. So from the White House, though, right, we can see all these other shapes. Like you've got this pentagram right here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, yo, there's some wild stuff in there.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a compass and an apron as well.
Well, the compass is actually on the Capitol side. If I could pull out there, yeah. So the Capitol side, it's actually part of the legs of the owl, right? So,
is there a hexagram of Solomon anywhere?
Oh yeah, that's further east as well.
Figured that was over there.
I could give a tour. I used to live in this area, so
please, dude. This is great. This is fascinating to me because I know this exists, but I'm not familiar with the particulars.
this is the compass. You can see these two angles coming out from the feet of the owl right here, and then it goes out in the 60 degrees that you're used to seeing on that T-square and compass with the Freemasons. And then over here, well, again, right in the middle of all of this, that lines up right around 16th Avenue, right, is the Washington Monument, where they're having this massive sex ritual.
I see the Templar cross. I see the Templar cross.
There are so many in this fucking thing.
Yo. Sorry, I'm all giddy from this. I feel like a school boy
child.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Star of David is over. Where is it? It's gonna pop out at you. Let's give it a minute. So it's really interesting. DC is laid out in this highly geometrically accurate fashion, but it stops at a certain point, and it stops over on the east side over here. There's a train yard that intersects the middle of the city, and it stops all of these geometric formations that they're trying to achieve here.
Is that where the term across the tracks came from? I don't know.
I don't know if that's
maybe not where it came from, but you could apply it to that.
Very much so.
Yeah.
So what is the significance? Well, if you've been following the impeachment trials of Donald Trump, you'll know that they had to march the impeachment orders from the Senate over to the House in a funerary march.
Yeah, I remember that.
This is the symbolic death and rebirth of this King of the Grove ritual. They have to have this sort of funerary procession as a ritual to ritually kill off the king currently and then bring in the new king. So it's at the heart of American politics, and nobody wants to acknowledge this stuff because it ruins a lot of illusions. And Washington Memorial is right on that same center line that goes all the way through the pentagram of the White House, all the way up into this other stuff. Now, what's even more interesting is that it's not actually a pentagram. What this is the bottom of Malkut. This makes a giant fucking Kabbalah tree.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right.
That's terrifying. Dude.
Right. They built it into the streets of your capital.
Wow, man.
Also, why the Society of the Cincinnati is so important is because the guy who designed this thing came straight through the Society of the Cincinnati. Everybody remarks that he was a Freemason, but no, he was part of the French chapter of the Society of the Cincinnati, which was the official cult repository for all of the all of the presidents. They have to join. They become members as soon as they're elected. And all of the offspring of the members of the Society of the Cincinnati, all of the male offspring, all become members as well. So again, these circles right here would represent the different Sephiroth.
Right.
Now, there's another interesting part over by Q Street.
Q Street.
Which is, on Q Street, you've got the Masonic Library.
Wait, it's literally called like the letter Q Street?
Yeah. So
there's 17th Street. There's even a 17th Street not too far around.
I didn't even know that existed. Okay. Yeah.
All right, guys. So there's something you should know about the streets in Washington, D.C. This is going to fuck everybody up who tries to drive around there. Every single thing is doubled. Right. So you've got 16th Street Northwest and 16th Street Southeast. It's laid out in a pattern where they've actually taken all of these numbers and letters and then put them in different quadrants. So all of the Q or all of the letter quadrants are in one area, northwest or northeast southeast and southwest, I believe, and then all of the number quadrants go from southeast over to northwest. So everything is doubled, which makes getting around the city fucking impossible.
Yeah. I mean, dude,
And having to drive around all of
did not
these
know
traffic
that. I
circles
would've-
and everything else.
If I would have known that there was a Q Street in Washington, I would have known a long time ago that Q was a psyop instead of finding out,
Still holding
after
that one.
the first Trump term or whatever, when everyone was disappointed.
Yeah.
But definitely, it kind of tells you right there who controls that movement. That's wild. Yeah, this is crazy, dude. This is something that I've been wanting to look at. So I'm actually pretty happy that you pulled this up.
Well, I think, this sort of exemplifies why she's so important in the Rustic pantheon, is because she represents the frontier of everything, right? And to control the frontier is to have a state. You've got to have borders. You've got to have that ability. So this is at the central core of the processing unit, if you could say that, of how they, view themselves, how they rule the world. They have to have control over all the frontiers.
Okay. That King of the Grove, man. Yeah, I've heard that somewhere before. Does that have any? And this may be a stretch. Does that have anything to do with the story of Robin Hood and all that, going back into the Green Man or whatever?
Possibly. In some ways, there are literary significance, but you see that
Maybe
that
King
huge
of the Oak
cross
I don't know.
right there. It's all this cross. Now, if you wanted to get technical, that would be like this cross of Henday, right? This is the thing that decodes all of it. And you can see those two legs coming out from the owl make this giant kind of egg shape around the whole thing. Let me see.
That's wild. Yeah. Everything is encapsulated in an egg. So
boom, and you've
people
got
just need to learn
cross
to
after
accept it.
cross after cross.
Wow.
So amazing. This
It
guy.
kind of, it kind of looks like the Maltese. Well, no. Well, I don't know.
It's interesting. That one picture that's over to the right was like almost kind of what I was trying to explain. I think it was with you, Headless, when I was talking about. Oh no, maybe it wasn't you. With the eyeballs, I have one eyeball and all this. Yeah, it was for the number dude. One eyeball. The two of them. How they will actually. It takes two to make the one vision.
Right.
Saying,
I mean, it's right there. This is the first eye, and this is the second eye over here, right? And you could see these two. That's where these cross right here is this other kind of vision. So, damn, dude.
Even those two, if you think about it, like those two, like even I wouldn't say sexually, but those two do create the one image too. So you know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Well, this one is the male
between the two. Yeah.
This one's the male. This is the Washington Monument right here, and over here would be the female.
Yeah.
What's over there?
That's the Capitol with the huge owl underneath of it, and the goddess statue on.
Is that where the vagina is?
That's where the belly is. If you think about the dome like a belly.
Yeah, and what's on that dome? Isn't there like some kind of depiction of George Washington being like brought up to heaven or something?
That's in the basement right there, and that is actually it's facing the top of the dome, and it's called the Apotheosis of George Washington, and it's on one of the lower levels in the Capitol building because the ascension is inside of the belly. They're giving birth to the homunculus, right?
Yes.
Homunculus.
They are giving birth to the homunculus of George Washington. Let's pull this up real fast. Because I talked about this when I did my episode on Osiris.
Right. Look at the three intersecting circles right here. You've got this one. You've got this one. The north circle, and then the south circle coming over the Capitol again. Another vagina. Lincoln Square over here, and then Abraham Lincoln's monument over here.
Mm-hmm.
All of this stuff was set out so perfectly, but also very impossible to fucking drive on. Oh, here's the Kabbalah triangle. Right
there, you go.
Right, so that is Tifereth.
So
That's where
Malkuth's at the bottom.
right. Malkuth would be the Jefferson Monument,
Okay.
right? And then up here, this would be the Tiferet. That would be the White House.
Oh shit.
Right. And then right here, again, well, they're putting the phallus of George Washington right on the moon, which would go back to Artemis again.
Right. Yeah, the Thracian moon goddess, dude. Bindis, who I was reading about, kind of had a lot of the same iconography to it.
Think about the Babylonian Sin. Sin was
well,
the
dude,
god
and
the
that's
moon.
in Sumerian story, it goes back to Ishtar and Sin, right? And Ishtar would be a version of Diana, right?
Yeah, and
maybe like a dark version or something, because the Ishtar is a pretty fucked up entity. I'm not going to lie. The stories of Ishtar, and maybe it's how they're interpreted. I don't know.
How many female planets are there? Feminine planets.
One,
two, maybe. Yeah.
Which one is
well,
the other?
Moon isn't a planet, but I mean it's considered in the 7 magical planets.
There you go. They call the moon female and male in the Orphic hymn to the moon.
That's a lot of things people don't say, Headless. I'm glad you mentioned that. There is a lot of male deities that are associated with the moon. Crowley thought he was Kafna reincarnated, and that was a moon deity.
Absolutely. So all this transgenderism, all the rest of that stuff comes through this moon, this Mercury, this hermetic type idea of the unification of the opposites, the bringing together of both female and male. It represents mastery over the world.
Which I think the trans thing is just a bastardization of that, right?
Right. So, there are cults that were really huge into this stuff. And, Christianity was one of them. The early church had, the Nicene agreement, the very first thing on the Nicene agreement was that nobody who is intentionally castrating themselves is allowed to be in the church fellowship anymore. Right. So it was a widespread problem all over Rome that these Christians kept cutting off their junk. So they had to make it clear you're not allowed to do that anymore. Origen, one of the early church fathers, also self-castrated. So, it was a very big problem back then because they thought that getting rid of any of these temptations, this actually goes into the Begonia movie as well, getting rid of these temptations is the only way to achieve mastery. Right. In the Begonia movie, the main character, which is very non-Aristeus like, decides that he's going to give himself and his cousin a chemical castration because they cannot be distracted by earthly or fleshly desires for sex for them to complete their mission. And so he has to give him this chemical castration stuff as he's trying to distract him or whatever. And so this, completely opposite of Aristeus, who was like this fertility god, like he's actually bringing fertility to the world. He's
like, I don't want to cut your penis off. I want to make it bigger,
Right. Rustic gods. Again, rustic gods are very highly associated with this fertility, but there's two ways you can look at the male and female form is you're either taking off your junk or you're adding more to it. If you're adding more to it, then you're self-generative, right? Now you're producing alone everything you're creating, right? As opposed to the other form, which would be you've just snipped off your stuff, and so you transcend gender by reduction, which is the one that is being promoted. So you've got these two alternate ends of the coin, and the one that gets promoted in society is not the self-mastery through completing the ideas of unifying the two hemispheres of the brain, the masculine and feminine hemispheres, completing the personal work. No, instead of all that, why don't you just, castrate yourself, which is the exact opposite of mastery. It would be complete naivety. You have to.
Yeah, you're destroying yourself.
Forms. There you go. So
because in doing so, you destroy not only creation, right? But you destroy, I think, a part of your soul as well. An aspect that it's something you were born with, right? Whatever gender you are, obviously,
So
that that's
if,
gone, right?
if anybody is talking about the transgenderism and occultism, and they don't bring this up, they're basically lying to you, right? Because they're not giving you the full picture about mastery and about self-mastery and using these energies within yourself to become a better person. Instead, they're only telling you about the fear and the buzzwords because it's evil, because whatever, right? So, but they won't mention, they won't mention the Nicene thing either. So that's also a big issue.
It's uncomfortable truths, man, that some people,
right.
I think we should discuss. But yeah, dude, this trying to look for some more. Yeah, that's crazy. That uncompleted square. So was it ever completed?
No.
Or did they not allow them to complete it?
Because they put the boundary stones.
Sorry.
Well, they wanted to have a state between states, right? So the limitation between Maryland and Virginia was huge. Like Maryland was the only Catholic state, and they really had a problem with their neighbors. Like everybody else hated the Catholics, right? The Vatican actually sent a massive stone to Washington, D.C. to be put in the Washington Monument. And they broke the stone and threw it in the Potomac. So there was a lot of animosity between America and Catholicism in the early days, which vanished over the years. But what they wanted to do is have these two states unified across this river and have that be the symbol of this unification of all of these different areas and what have you. But instead, Virginia became part of the South, and they didn't want Washington, D.C. in their region. So it's always been this sort of uncompleted thing. But you can see right at the heart of it.
Hippies and queers.
There you go. So it's also funny too. Where's the line between the North and South during the Civil War? Do you remember that? The Mason-Dixon line?
Was that right there?
No. It was in Pennsylvania. It was between Maryland and Pennsylvania. So technically, both capitals of these two feuding states in the Civil War were both in the South. That Mason-Dixon line was supposed to extend all the way out to California in terms of slave states and free states. But that's where you have something like Bleeding Kansas happen. So there was a big feud over whether or not Kansas would be a slave state or a free state. And they had open wars going on before the Civil War with John Brown and his gang and all these other people who wanted to make them a free state, and the South that wanted to make it a slave state. Right? Because they wanted to have that voting majority. When Abraham Lincoln was elected, they did not have that representation at all from the South up to the North. So all the South voted against Abraham Lincoln, and he still won anyway. So at that point, it was just basically we got to commit to war. But there was a huge gap for a long period in American history between Maryland and Virginia, right? So that little red area, that's all Virginia, and this area is all Maryland. So they had to find a way to unify the opposites, and they were dead set on using this Masonic imagery as a basis, because as the Civil War is happening, they're actually building all of this stuff in Washington, D.C.
So is the Civil War just a distraction?
I don't know if you could say distraction, but I think these people had such a, deep knowledge of their own history that they thought by using these symbols and these techniques and all this stuff that was in their, sacred geometry textbooks and all the rest of this, they could unite these people who had very little in common and wanted to go to war with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And there were feuds over how they could use these symbols to sort of propagandize people with the structure itself. So if you go back to Giordano Bruno, he has these methods of mimetics where he's using these geometric and
Yes,
like
he's
structural
They're
ideas.
sigils.
Yeah, he spins
Right?
like it's a
It's
wheel.
sigil magic. That's what I was gonna ask. If it seems to me like it's hyper sigils and like they're doing this stuff on a large scale in these areas to invoke some kind of energy or magical something.
Right. So it's they've called it before. Oh, there we go. That's the
I was gonna pull
apotheosis
this
of
up before
Washington.
we stop talking about it. Yeah. And George is right there in the middle with his as above, so below hand signals.
Hand to Sabazios. Hand
Yeah.
to Sabazios was
And
before the hand of benediction. So he's holding up the hand to Sabazios.
can you name all the gods, Headless? Who are all these? I know
Well,
that's
you got
Poseidon on the left.
the 12 Olympians are outside of that ring, right? So they're heavily implying that there is some sort of ancient pagan element here that is founding this country. That is a spirit that is moving through this country. And they're adamant
in
on
the
it.
middle. Nick,
Say that again.
looks like an eye in the middle.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Big time.
definitely.
Yeah, if you could zoom in a little farther, I could probably pick out some of the elements from them. But basically,
That's about as far
you've
as
got
we'll go.
Neptune over on the west, right?
Neptune,
So
okay.
he's holding up that trident, and let's see, there's got to be Hephaestus in Columbia, right to the south, right below George Washington. She's holding the shield and the sword,
Literally right
Columbia.
under his phallus.
right under him, exactly. And this is at the heart of the womb of the temple, right? So
Okay.
this is the under the dome, right, where the pregnancy of this, egregore of Washington or egregore of a state over all the United States is being birthed, right? It's powerful symbolism.
Dude, this is how the
There's
original
Columbia.
churches and all these like old places of worship were built out, like in the format of our body.
Right.
Look at all the pentacles surrounding them too. That's crazy.
Heavily encoded magic, dude. Heavily encoded magic. And nobody's paying attention to this stuff on a magical level anymore.
Is
You
that
see-
Aries down there to the southwest?
It could be Aries or it could be Athena, maybe Minerva. Because again, Minerva is like this
There's a
warrior
rainbow
goddess.
connecting down to it.
Ooh.
I can't really see.
You don't see the rainbow right there?
It looks like the Twin Towers, to be honest. It's
Wow,
the Twin
dude.
Towers.
That's something. I
Wow.
don't know who that is to the north or the two to the east either. But who are the ones sitting around George Washington?
They look like angels, right? Lots of sort of angelic symbolism, but they could also be like, saints of the revolution or one
There's
of these
15
other.
of them, I think.
Hmm.
No, I don't know. Just thought that was interesting since we are talking about Artemis. There she is.
But yeah, before they called it Washington, D.C., before it became the capital, right? When the capital was still up in Philadelphia, this area in Maryland was called Rome, Maryland, because there are 7 hills that are adjacent to Washington, D.C. They are in the District of Diana, right? They are in the District of Columbia. So all of this stuff is heavily spiritualized from the European ancestry. And if you look, that guy right below George Washington is carrying a Phrygian cap on a pole.
I know. I was just about to say, dude. That seems like the same hat that Hermes wears too.
That's the one that they refused to put on the Statue of Freedom because, what's not Jefferson? What's
Hermes
Jefferson
Trismegistus.
Davis? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, Hermes had one too, but Jefferson Davis insisted you do not put that on the Statue of Freedom because that is the sign of a freed slave.
Well,
We
and
will
then
not send that symbol.
you were talking about the chicken. Well, how she was kind of depicted in the native garb. Look right to the right of this image right here, down here. And you have, this female with this headdress on that is very similar to the one with the phoenix on her head, you know?
I think there is 0% chance that the founding fathers did not know that there was European contact before Christopher Columbus, and they were making them parts of their own tribe. They knew that the Creek were speaking a derivation of Greek. You know, they knew that there was ancient contact there, but they kind of kept it secret, except in works of art like this, where you can see that even though they're at war with these native tribes, they still consider them part of their own family.
I need to get a better like thing for my photos to pull up stuff. For some reason, Macs, they have very shitty like tools to use.
Right. Artemis was also the goddess of childbirth.
Real okay. Yeah, I wanted to ask you if she represented anything else besides.
Yeah, she also had a heavy association with the moon, but as we can see, that that lunar Sephiroth is right there at the yoni and phallus of the Washington Monument. So
yeah,
they couldn't be any clearer with that. And also the sun, which would be Tifereth, is right above that moon circle, right? So they're making the Greek Kabbalah, I think. I think that's what they were going for.
They're trying to mix a little bit of both, or whatever. They're trying to take these entities from this one and with the themes and the the symbolism from this other and mesh them together to create their own gods or whatever.
Well, I think the Greek Kabbalah is actually older than the Hebrew Kabbalah, but that's very controversial.
That's a very interesting subject. I'd like to talk to you about that sometime.
Right. I just think because
I didn't know there was a Greek Kabbalah.
Right. So since the theogony fits perfectly into the Kabbalah, right? Like all these gods have their own spheres, have their own pathways, and we know the approximate date of the writing of the Septuagint. You have to understand that they were influenced by that Greek source. So when they're saying that they have the one true Kabbalah, that's through the Bible, which is filtered through the original Greek versions of this stuff. Right?
Huh. Interesting.
But this is like at the core of perennialism, right? The idea that all of these things can be mapped out geometrically in a very similar way. Eos, goddess of dawn. What's that about?
I don't know. Rex talking about. Rex did. I guess he may have been talking about one of the figures on the side of George Washington. Maybe one of them was Eos. There was one that was around a whole bunch of clouds. It looked kind of like dawn. So maybe
that's Eos.
Rex
there you go.
Something. Yeah. I see allegory. Yeah. Well, yeah. No, I think allegory. There's that's hidden in there as well. That's the beauty of it, in my opinion. And a lot of this is just the different things that you find in it.
That painting was perfectly oriented northwest, east, and south. And so where Eos would be in that painting is where the sun would be rising.
Which is in the east.
Right there in the east. So they've oriented that painting perfectly to the world around it, which is
that's beautiful. Yeah. If you want my opinion, that's art. That's like
it's
like a pure form of art, dude. Is like something that represents the world around it, but you don't realize it until you look at it from this more esoteric angle. It's just fascinating. I go off on another tangent, y'all, if you don't stop me.
So summarily, Artemis is the protector of girls, right? Young girls are under her protection. Apollo protects young boys, right? So together they bring swift death and justice upon anybody who hurts the people that they protect.
Oh, well, dude, who couldn't agree with that?
Yeah, I don't know. But again, that's why they're called gods and goddesses of death, is because in the Greek tradition, they would kill anybody who would fuck around with children.
They're talking about their enemies, right?
Well,
when they talk about death,
society, right? So they bring disease and they bring misfortune upon people who cross them, and so if you're not good with Artemis and Apollo, they're probably going to fuck with you hard, you know.
Interesting.
So anytime you see references to Apollo as being this god of death in the Bible, that's what they're referring to is, you know, you don't fuck with him. Like Apollo is the one who stuck the arrow in Achilles. Like he's the one who ended that hero. So he did that because he dishonored his temple. And so
he chopped the head off of him, right? Yeah.
No. Well, that came later, but after he stabbed the arrow into his heel.
No, I'm saying Achilles chopped the head off of Apollo, the statue on his temple. Yeah. I actually watched Troy recently with my son. It's a great movie. That's one of the last like good action movies, man. I mean, it really was good. I remember I had it on VHS. Achilles was a jerk. Yeah, he was pretty arrogant. That's, you know, hence probably why he got it through the heel, right?
Hubris, right?
Yeah,
when you have
man.
hubris against the gods, they will strike you down.
Achilles was a jerk.
Well, I mean, didn't he fall in love with a priestess of Apollo?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, there you go. You destroy, you know, and Apollo ends up killing him. So it's like this story. Wow. I love this, Headless. This is awesome.
But they talk about Apollyon rising from the pit in the book of Revelations.
So they're referring to Apollo.
Apollyon is how you spell his name. So he's the chief demon among all the rest of them. He's the worst guy in history. He is, once he comes out of the pit, that's when all hell breaks loose on earth in Revelations. He is the bringer of pain and misfortune and injustice to everybody, right? In the book of Revelations. But you don't really have the context about that because the founding mythology of Patmos included Apollo falling in this well, right? So he's fallen in the pit, and then he has to be brought back out of it by Artemis, or the whore of Babylon. Which is strange because it seems like they're working together in the book of Revelations. And that's also some of the founding mythology of Patmos, where John was writing the book of Revelations.
Wow.
You got to have the context.
Yeah, dude. Definitely. People miss or forget context these days, and they just go. That's the problem with this fast content, in my opinion, that, you know, people base what they think off of a 30-second video.
Right.
You know, no one's going to go and read the book, right? No one's going to go and try to get their own opinion or their own view on these things, in which I think everyone should do. I don't think
it certainly adds a little bit of you know, impetus for the people who are controlling things to try and get this information on top of everything else, because if you don't know how it's actually working from the historical and documented sources, then you can, you know, use anything from the Bible to discredit anything that actually has sources. You know?
Yeah.
So it keeps you in a big pen, and it works. You know, because if you can't think outside of that paradigm, you're doomed to repeat that paradigm. So it works out on that angle. But perennialism, when you go back to the sources in the Bible, is about analyzing these symbols and seeing where they cross over in other cultures as this perennial system. It's all one religion. You know, that's what the Theosophists were trying to do, is they were trying to syncretize everything into one single thing. And that's why they call it the world religion, or whatever that these Theosophists were pushing. That came through their analysis of all of these.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about on the Esoteric Book Review. We had started The Secret Doctrine, and then we switched over to another book. But we were talking about how they would use the swastika and the the hexagram of Solomon in unison together, right? And that came from Theosophy. Okay, makes more sense,
right? And you know, these efforts have produced things like baseball, for instance. So all of the Theosophy stuff went directly into the making of baseball, this great American game. It was uniquely American, but it's in the shape of this, the big G for the diamond shape. Again, we're back to geoglyphs again. They're using this as their form of magic. Now,
telling you, hyper sigils.
To me, right? Like the era where baseball is at its height almost is the innocent portion of America. Like this was, this was like the up and coming of this culture and civilization. And instead of, always fighting with each other in these civil wars, they got together on the sports field and they got along together. And you could see how that magic could possibly work to bring a nation together. Because we think of that as sort of like the American way, and that was definitely because who supposedly started baseball was this Northern general, right? He was a general in the Northern Army, and he wanted to bring America back together. So they
probably a pretty based dude. Get it?
Well,
baseball.
he was based. You got me.
Just. It was okay.
After Doubleday, that's his name. I was trying to.
Okay.
I thought is trying to unite the nation after the Civil War, and he comes up with this magical game. And he does it. So, did he lie about the origins of it? Hell yeah, he did. The whole story is bullshit. But it worked. It was positive propaganda, I think, that was trying to, bury feuds.
Yeah.
And this would be an example of magic that works. You see? And if you don't have the magic that works, what can you do to change things? Not a lot. So if you demonize this stuff and you're not able to use it as your own form of propaganda, you're fucked. You don't really have that agency in the same way that the people who make these successful spells pull it off.
Intention is everything too, Same with prayer,
Bingo.
Guys. So
if you have these symbols and you know how to abstract them and to create spells out of them through art and all the rest of this stuff, you make an excellent propagandist. When you can integrate all of these religious symbols throughout all of these years into geometric forms and what you're creating and putting out there to the world, you can actually make something that gets people's attention. What do you think, Nick?
Subliminal messenger.
I agree. Propagandas?
Well, it's not just propaganda, it's also beauty. It's also spirituality. Yeah. It's all of these things that come into this form to try and create something, which,
hey,
I think that's what magic is.
Headless. Hey, yeah. So Subliminal had a question having to do with the Artemis shuttle or whatever it was, being in between Orion and Apollo or something. If there was anything with that, I don't know. He said he was going to show up and ask in the chat. I would have had the actual question. He had mentioned something about it. Maybe it's something you can look into.
Well, the first rockets were called the Saturn V rockets, right?
Okay.
These were massive. They were like, 6-story buildings? These things were fucking huge. These are what they were using to get up to, outer space. And then you had the Gemini rockets, right? And then the Gemini rockets were smaller. They were sleeker. They were actually, more efficient. And then, it moved on down the line into the shuttle rockets. So, there is a significance to these things. The Saturn V was the furthest limit that they had gotten to that far. So it represented that Saturn energy. And then you've got that Gemini, which is sort of like a mirroring of sorts, right? So it's
of the Apollo Artemis story. Yeah.
Right. And, you've got the divine twins, always as this ever-present force in nature is the polarity.
Isn't Apollo... There's one god or one deity that you see in both the Roman and Greek pantheon. Is that Apollo or is that
Apollo was worshipped in Magna Graecia. In fact, Magna Graecia is the bottom tip of Italy, right? So that was all Greece.
Did you ever see how much Jesus looked like Apollo at one point?
Hell yeah, dude! In the Vatican.
depending on how close they were to areas that worshiped Apollo.
In the Aquarian Gospel of the Christ, I know it's like a channeled book or whatever. People want to say what they want to. Christ is hanging out with this Greek mystic named Apollo. That's all I got to say. That we're doing that on Esoteric Book Review at some point, guys. It's going to be a banger. Y'all got to come open-minded for that one, and no dissenting opinions and whatnot. We're going into
probably before the 3rd century, though.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to look into it. It's very interesting stuff. Could be fake and gay. I don't know, but it's definitely it's interesting enough for a read, in my opinion.
So in the basement of the Vatican, they have images of Christ as Helios. Let me see if I can pull this up for you guys. Which is really interesting. Helios is this sun goddess or sun god that has the rays coming out of its head, kind of like the Statue of Liberty. Stop screen and try again.
Substacks.
Share screen. Vatican Helios. Here we go. So this is Christ pulling a chariot with these sun rays coming out of his head, surrounded by all of these. I think they're oak leaves. Could be. I'm not sure. But this
probably
is in
oak leaves. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so this was in the basement of the Vatican. This is the kind of Christ that they were worshiping back then. And it's far more Roman.
Looks more like Mana's.
Right. Right. So this is early Christianity is far more Romanized.
Yo, if you're over by the Visigoth areas, that motherfucker looked like he had hips on him and man boobs.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah,
The divine
depictions of Jesus, especially depending on where you are, because you got to look like their God. I mean, it's just
right. In the image of their God, right? Yeah,
I mean, they do it.
Makes sense when they make
Mary wasn't huge until ISIS was a problem.
Damn, right. That's a whole nother rabbit hole, dude. That's a whole nother episode.
Also, why they would demonize Apollo so much in the book of Revelations, because you've got to now eliminate that influence from tainting Christianity.
No one said that. I said in this book, he was hanging out with another mystic, and that mystic was named Apollo. No one said Jesus is Apollo.
Right. So this Apollo Helios imagery kind of indicates that they wanted Catholicism to mean what it means in Latin, which is universal. They have to be the universal religion and to get as far out there as possible with how you relate to these other cultures. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Hunab Ku. This is great. So the Hunab Ku is this imagery from the Mayans.
That picture right there, Headless, is very interesting that they had that underneath the Vatican. Because I've been looking into what you would call like the men of the oak trees or the oak grove, or what. That's why when you brought up the King of the Grove, I was like, wait a minute, this is very reminiscent of these Druidic, initiates. That is very, very similar to early Christianity iconography and symbolism. So,
Yes, sir. So this is the Hunab Ku symbol. This is the Mayan yin yang sign, right? And so this Mayan yin yang was also another thing. It was standard Yucatec Mayan orthography. It's a colonial period Yucatec reducto term meaning the one God. It is used in colonial and more particularly doctrinal texts to refer to the Christian God. So since found frequently in Chalam Balam of Chuyamel, a syncretistic document heavily influenced by Christianity refers specifically to the Christian God as the translation into the Mayan Christian concept of one God to use and enculturate previous polytheist Maya to the new religion. So they grabbed this symbol and they said, "This is the Christian God. You guys already worship it."
Bring that symbol back up.
Yeah,
The Hunabku.
will do. There we go. Let's see, images. All right, there's a good one.
Interesting. People are going to say that symbol on the inside is like the FBI code for pedophilia or something.
Maybe.
I mean,
all I know is this. This goes way back in Mayan history, and they had some
Right.
weird practices. So
Yes,
I wouldn't be
yes, yes.
surprised.
They did. Well, throwing heads down the pyramid steps and whatnot.
Well, that's more the Aztecs, but they
Okay,
had
okay,
some,
okay. I'm glad that you're able to tell me that.
You know, there's another
Yeah.
thing I do want to mention with that, though, is that even from things that I've noticed, just looking at certain ways that people visioned what's going on out there, there was a point where they did think the sun and the moon might have actually kind of spiraled around the planet, or like there was like spiraling going on. It actually wasn't. It's hard to explain. Like that image could actually be showing something else.
Those colors that's all alchemy colors as well, right? That we talked about, that we've talked about before. Let's see. That's interesting how people are getting it tattooed on them.
Yeah. It's a really popular symbol because obviously, it's very much like that, yin yang, like union of opposites.
It does look like a yin yang.
That combination of
makes sense.
It's interesting, man. I probably know the least about South American culture from their ancient past.
It's very I got another DC reference.
A little bit about the serpent mounds and like Quetzalcoatl, the plumed serpent, and his relation to Thoth / Ningishita, Tahuti, who they kind of venerated then. And he, there's the ancient alien theory of him bringing the Olmecs with him to restart civilization, and that this is a son of Enki, who you could say, I don't know, is the like archetype of Prometheus, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, what's this?
What do you think it is?
I don't know. That looks like an Olmec head.
No. The 2 bars and 3 dots. What is that?
Dude.
That's Mayan for 13. That's Mayan for 13. So the 3 dots are the 1s, and then these 2 are 5s. So that's how they did their numbering system.
That's fucking weird.
Kind of like that.
I mean, if you were to grow up knowing this numbering system, I'm sure it would be very easy. But just looking at it.
What's that?
Whose flag is that?
That's Washington, D.C.'s flag.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, dude. 13 stars, 13 bars, 13. All so the 13 over the fucking place.
But they took that symbol from the Mayans?
No, that's actually George Washington's coat of arms.
So he took that.
How could his great-great-grandfather take that? Great-great-great-great-great-grandfather in England.
I have no idea.
They had contact with Americans. This is not uncommon. They had a lot of contact with America. They had European voyages going back and forth. They knew about these people. That's why they have him up on the dome where he's being turned into a god.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Okay.
Yeah, boy.
That's wild, man. Yeah.
I love this shit. So it's right there on his heraldry.
Great.
What the fuck is going on?
So where's the origin of that symbol? What's the original meaning of the 3 dots and the 2 bars? Does it come from?
We'll see. We can look up the heraldry. We can look up the heraldry.
Okay. I'm just curious because you showed it to me in these South American cultures. Was it worldwide or was it? Have you seen it throughout different civilizations? Just like looking different, obviously, not using stars, but maybe something else like what we saw, dots, or even a different
Oh yeah, no, they would.
type of star.
The original was more like seed shaped, right?
Okay.
So it was kind of like, so they would use this sort of seed shaped thing, and not really a perfect circle. That's just sort of how they translate it. Right. So the first coat of arms of a member of the Washington family is the first documented in the 14th century, borne by one of the male Washington family members of Old Washington Hall in County Durham, England. The design, 3 red stars over 2 horizontal bars on a white field, has been used since 1938 as the basis for the coat of arms and flag for the District of Columbia. It was also found on the Purple Heart, a U.S. medal for wounded soldiers. That's very symbolic. These elements have been said to have been inspired by the stars and stripes design of the flag of the United States. However, despite some visual similarity, there is no evidence whatsoever to support the claimed connection. The Digital Encyclopedia of George Washington, published in the Fred W. Smith National Library for the Study of George Washington, Mount Vernon, calls it an enduring myth backed by no discernible evidence. Instead, the story seems to have originated in 1876 playwright, a Washington drama in 5 acts. Let me see. Sir William de Hertburn was also granted the lordship of Wessington. Where's the description of it?
If he's a sir, then you know.
Oh, well, here's the thing about Washington is he signed the Declaration of Independence, and like 14 of his 16 ancestors were all signers of the what's that called? The Magna Carta. So
you don't say.
Right. So these guys are declaring independence over here in England, and then all of those guys come over here and they're doing the same thing over here. That's
and
interesting.
Somehow these guys are related, to these guys, and
bloodline families, right?
Yeah,
but we're not.
It's been like this. Last night, I was saying how Game of Thrones is a great representation of how the elites handle like the behind the scenes. Like who runs what. Who marries into which bloodline. It's from like these houses, right? And then the main house being like that of the dragon, or like of this symbolic serpent stuff, which obviously spans much farther into other cultures. But I thought it was a pretty good example.
It gets really national treasury really fucking quick.
I'm sure. I got to rewatch that movie. I need to watch that with my son. That'd be a good one. That blows mine. May confuse him. I don't know.
It's good. It opens the mind. Like we think of our history as mundane. It's very magical, but you got to know this stuff so that you can see the magic in it. There's a lot.
Absolutely. You can't discount it. I mean, that was what I was saying earlier with the whole, the certain narratives that were fed, who's feeding us these narratives and how long have they been feeding them to us? And, you got to be able to discern between what's real and what's not. It's very hard. And I was talking about this on a recent episode. I can't remember with who, but about AI now. And I hate this Sona AI shit. I hate it. I can't stand it. It's very low frequency.
Oh god,
very gay. And I don't like it.
What's crazy is that I have it, and you have not seen me make one video with that shit yet.
That's what I'm saying.
I pay for ChatGPT, and I have not made one of those new Sora videos yet.
Like people have been telling me to make thumbnails with AI, and I'm like, dude, I'd rather make my own thumbnail with this app, and just it looks how it looks, but it's it's kind of a DIY thing. I've always been real punk rock about everything. I don't know.
There's a lot.
It's authentic.
Thank you, Headless. It is authentic, and that's what I just said about the DIY. Do it yourself, guys. You don't have to rely on any bigger entity to give you.
I'll be drawing stick
ideas,
so unfortunately, ChatGPT.
Well, hey, I can't draw worth a shit, so I just use. Headless, you're a great artist. I heard,
guys. That's the point. Like now is the time to make really bad art because really bad art is authentic, and people know it's not AI. That was the time. We must bring back bad art once again. Cave drawings, dude.
Oh god,
that's real.
Start doing that. I'm gonna start doing shit like that and taking like a picture of it and throw it up as a thumbnail.
We were talking about
There you
Janus
go.
earlier.
like
Tierney.
write on like fucking composition paper, like the title of the show.
Get
What
the
do you mean?
crayons
Oh,
out, dude.
yeah. How I'm always like, hey, bro, you got a thumbnail?
Yeah, I'm gonna do that next time. I'm gonna send you a picture of like my thumbnail.
That's what I mean.
Dude, I don't know. It's always they're fun to make. I don't know.
I get you.
But hey, so
It
who are
opens
we gonna
up
be
new
talking about
horizons,
next week,
guys.
Headless? I guess Apollo.
Next week.
It'd
Apollo's
only be
not one of
right.
the rustic gods.
Oh, he's not.
No, it's
Okay.
Artemis. That's the
Learning
rustic
something new
goddess.
every day.
Right.
So Artemis is, but Apollo isn't.
Right.
Okay. Interesting.
Right. Because she's out there on the frontiers hunting deer. And Apollo's more like war. And he's also the god of Delphi. Right. So he's the god of prophecy as well. He's always depicted as being surrounded by the muses. The 9 muses are his in the depiction. So all of the inspiration that comes through is related to Apollo as well. And, that's something I was listening to a podcast about the muses from K.Y. Dickens. And she was talking about how these muses are more real than people think. Right. So this is the telepathy tapes lady. She was thinking, what if inspiration is a type of telepathy, and actually these muses are coming through these ideas you have in your head, so clearly like a non-local form of consciousness. So what if that's what they were doing back then? That's what these muses represented. It was a connection with non-local consciousness for the purpose of having epiphanies and seeing the world differently. I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Makes sense with music and sound in general, and that's where
Bingo.
Yeah.
Muses,
Yeah,
music.
took that.
Of course, that word probably comes from that.
Yeah, I could
It
definitely.
comes from the muses. Half of
I
our
never
words.
thought about that. Like I said, we learn something new every day.
Which also goes back into the Satan character that's now marching around with all of his body parts being instruments, right? Goes back to Apollo. He's the god of the harp.
What is it? I don't know if it's like half tones or whatever it is, but there's even those certain notes that are always like associated with like evil or Satan level. You know what I'm saying? There's even certain.
But that's just the adversary to the Jewish God, right? To like. Okay.
Apollo is the adversary to the Jewish god.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just asking, just for clarification.
Right, because it's like they want to get rid of that stuff. You can't have inspiration. You can't have these connections. You've got to come down to a lower vibration.
Disease and wolves.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
He also infected the Athenians when they were trying to invade Troy. He gave them an illness that they were all dying from right before he killed, Achilles.
So Troy had the favor of Apollo then. Okay.
Troy and Apollo and Artemis were the patrons of Troy.
So who did the Athenians have? Like who were they sporting?
Athena.
Okay. All right. Hey. All right. I got it. Thank you, Headless.
And Zeus wanted to break it up. He wanted to stop all this stuff. And he couldn't figure out how.
I love this, dude. It's fascinating.
That's why it's such a great book, because it's encoded into Washington, D.C. with the symbols themselves. All of these things come through the culture. Now we don't read these books in terms of like the actual religious practices of the founding fathers, but I think it's probably a lot closer to the reality is that they were Hellenists. That's why they knew this stuff inside and out. That's why they put it up everywhere. They understood it.
Well, yeah, and the reason for that George Washington thing being in the basement, and I'll probably do an episode on this soon, since we're getting into like what is it, all the Grail Kings and the Round Table and all that stuff, is that these guys in these mystery schools that were at the top, like King Arthur was known in some of these mystery cults as this like resurrected God King, right? And so he would go, him dying was symbolic of him going into the underworld and like transgressing through all these mysteries and the symbolism and decoding it for his fellow initiates back in the physical, on the physical plane. And so when they would descend to the underworld, they would know how to, not be afraid and kind of have this discernment of, these entities and symbolism. They would know how to read the symbols, right? Therefore, not fearing anything, understanding everything. You're able to pass through the spiritual world unharmed. That's a very interesting take, I think. But appreciate it, man. Very good conversation, gentlemen. Yeah, we appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with us. This whole idea for this series was Headless's idea. So shouts out to Headless Giant. I guess he had to go away for a second. But Nick, we got anything else this weekend on the Occult Rejects, brother?
Oh yeah, tomorrow. Tomorrow we will be going. Unfortunately,
we have one live show and then one studio show.
Yeah, Ivy the Occultist didn't want to go live. She's a little nervous, so that's not gonna happen. But we do have Deborah from Paradigm. Oh, fuck, I forgot it. But she's been on Headless's show. We had her on once for like her weird experiences. But she's actually been on like a lot of other like kind of occult or witchy shows. She does like she's got a whole thing going on. Very interesting woman, very nice, and yeah, she'll be on. She's kind of like an empath, and she does. She's had like weird experiences, astral shit like that. We got that going on, and then the 14th we will be covering Serpent in the Rainbow. It should be the whole crew of the Occult Rejects.
I'm gonna watch that movie. I'll watch it today.
Yeah, I sent it in. Like I said, I sent it in the chat too for everybody.
Guys, I was going to say, I think I'm doing something on Discord tonight. Later tonight, after I hang out with the family today, we'll do the movie night on Discord. We'll watch Eraserhead, or we can watch. And I'll send you guys a link if y'all want to come hang out. And
sure.
It's in my Discord, so it gets kind of crazy, but I think y'all like it.
It's gonna be awesome.
We may watch Eraserhead, or we can watch Serpent in a Rainbow. So y'all just if you're in the Greypilled group chat, let me know. And Anyway.
One thing I do want to plug real quick that will be, I guess we'll be all working on eventually, hopefully sooner than later. Next week, God willing, I should be, as long as everything goes all right, I will be going to Coral Castle next week. So I hope to be getting tons of footage, and I will park my car blocks away and send my drone over if I have to.
What is that again? I've heard you mention this
on the show. I had Library of the Untold come on. It's just my opinion. The guy was an occultist, and he was he made some shit that was just unusual. I think there's a lot of occult symbolism. Probably like free energy shit, weird stuff going on.
At this castle.
Yeah, Coral Castle. Yeah, look it up. It looks like, I don't even know how to explain it.
Do you think he may have opened something there?
Oh, well, I think he understood. I mean, where it was, I think he originally moved it to somewhere, I think the ley line's like a lot closer. It's pretty much on one.
Yeah.
The guy, I don't know. There's a lot of weird stories even behind the dude. In my opinion, I will agree with the Library of Untold guy. I do think he kind of had a smear campaign on him because of the weird shit he was doing over there. I do think it starts to show like just weird shit. Like he had a door that moved that was like tons and tons. It would spin, and like engineers went there and like fucking pulled it apart to see how it works. And they when they went to go put it back in, they can't get it to work again.
Wow.
So they don't. They don't understand how this guy's shit works. This guy had fucking, that door that turns. Had a drill hole straight through the fucking thing. Like, how do you even do this? So, I'm going to be going there. I'm going to be hopefully taking as many pictures and video as I can without getting yelled at. And I will be, as long as they don't have something blocking it, I will be getting drone footage.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then I would like to cover it on the show, like show the photos and stuff and just the history about the place.
Absolutely. So, Ed Leeds Scowlin also has a bunch of books out there about different designs that you can actually recreate at home. So look up Ed Leeds Scowlin books, read through them. They're really confusing at first. You gotta read it several times to understand it. But once you start to get it, he's trying to unlock some secrets of the universe. So
that's what I think.
Look that shit up.
Yep. Yeah, so as long as I make it, hopefully, maybe a couple of weeks after we do Silent Serpent in the Rainbow, we get the crew together and just talk about this place again.
Oh, yeah, man.
And hopefully, like, I'll have my own footage. So,
Did Alelu get robbed by Anu? Was he wronged over and over? No, Alelu in the mythologies robbed Anu tablets of destiny stuff, and I think weapons, maybe, if you look into those theories. But symbolically, he castrated Anu. He bit his manhood off in the
get interesting
in those mythologies, and so I think that's symbolic. But no, they were who was it? No, Enki was married to Alelu's daughter, so that's his wife, the mother of Marduk. I forget her name, man. It's been a while. I haven't done the Elohim etymology in a while. Shout out to Adrian. Damkina is her name. She's a Sumerian deity.
So Kronos castrated Uranus.
Okay, that's the same story. That's the same story.
With a scythe made out of adamant that he got from his mother, Gaia.
Anu is similar to Uranus, and so it wouldn't surprise me if Alelu had that. Oh, dude, I should present that to Adrian. You guys should talk to Adrian. He has some pretty cool theories about the Anunnaki from his research, and his co-author who lives in Africa.
What is this member?
Huh?
What is this member? What is this penis that is constantly being cut off? Right?
Right. Osiris's penis, and yeah,
in Washington D.C., Washington Monument. Why are they so obsessed with this pole? I think it is the North Pole. I think that's what they're showing. This is the connection to the swastika and everything else. It's the North Pole. It's the
that's Aaron's rod, dude. That's Aaron's rod. It's the well, I've related. I've done too many King Arthur references today. No more. But yeah,
the sword and the stone.
No, well, yeah, there's many symbolic references to that, but yes, that could represent the, your sword. Well, it's you stuck in, the most crystallized of elements, right? In the material world, obviously, our spirit stuck in these bodies as well as here on this plane, and you got to free that. You got to pull that sword from that stone, guys, and take that Greypilled. And yeah. Anyway,
well, there's a sword in the stone in Italy. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't. You want to?
Oh, dude,
pull it up, dude. The Headless Green Knight. I'm doing a Green Man episode, guys. We're talking about how the head of the Green Knight was venerated, and this could be the head, right? The penis head. I don't know, or the actual head.
Place of the skull, Golgotha.
Dude, yeah. I mean, dude, this is wild.
This is in Tuscany. This is the real sword in the stone.
Let me go try.
The legend of Monteseppi, the sacred San Galgano sword in the stone. Dude, I was so hoping that you were going to go there and film this thing. Are you going back to Italy?
Yes, I am, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have family there, Nick?
No. Oh, well, no, I do. It's just I'm not about to go visit them.
I hear you. That'd be a whole to-do.
Yeah, well, it's just two totally different types of people.
I figured. Yeah. I didn't think about that.
But no, definitely would. No, I was gonna actually. I even told Headless at one point I was gonna go. I was like two or 3 months ago. I was actually like booking it and everything. I was gonna go for like almost a month, but then I kind of had all these events come up like as an option, and I was like, let me not blow thousands and thousands of dollars and go to Italy and advertise the podcast instead for a few months. And instead, I went other places and saw other things. But no, eventually I am definitely going back. I would really like to go back to Rome again, actually, even though I was already there for a bit, and a few other places.
So this guy, he got his arm ripped apart by wolves. Tell me that's not symbolic. And he also found the stone. I have to get into the folklore of it, but it's really interesting and highly symbolic. This is all in Tuscany. And if there's a link between Tuscany and England,
I was gonna say there's the Tuscan Knights, dude. The whole, I mean, these orders of knights, bro, like who knows if they all had their own sword in the stone that they all went and tried to pull, and there were these ancient relics that help. I don't know, dude. I'm just now starting to get into this stuff. This is a deep dive that I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm very happy that and you guys have influenced me along the way to kind of do it with the stuff y'all talk about. So nice. Yeah, someone said tire. Does that look like the city? God, I don't know.
So it's located in the Monteseppi Chapel in Tuscany and is associated with Saint Galgano.
Headless, unlike this guy.
Yeah, that's the guy who was attacked by wolves.
Oh,
there's a whole story about him. Yeah. The knight Galgano Golgati was a knight who had a change of heart after a vision, and a sign of his commitment to a new peaceful life, he thrust his sword into a stone.
Wow.
His action turned the symbol of war into a symbol of peace and devotion, they say. After his death, the chapel was built around the stone at the Monteseppi Hill, and he became known as San Galgano. The ruins of a larger abbey built in his honor can be found at the bottom of the hill.
I'd love to visit that place, man. I bet the energy there is something.
Right.
Wow.
But he's putting the symbol into the stone instead of taking it out.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Gives it a whole new meaning in the way, you know?
Right.
But yeah, anyway, I didn't know if y'all had anything else on the subject today. This was a banger, dude. These episodes keep getting better and better the more I learn about this stuff. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me, talking about it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I think these rustic gods are just the beginning. Once you start to understand that these are the frontiers of the human mind, right? These are sort of where we interact with, new ideas and new thoughts that are coming into our heads. You can kind of understand why you have such huge explosions of creativity around like the rediscovery of these old ways. It's like once you start to understand these symbols and how they relate to the rest of the universe, you can actually use them for you. And a lot of people did to create the world that we see around us. It's highly linked to new thoughts and new associations, mind expanding.
Tyranny, you just this makes me think of a whole nother story. You just maybe connected something for me. Thank you. We're not going to get into that.
Was it the biting that connected something for you?
No, it was the second in line and basically stolen birthright. I don't know. That is what happened. It was all about who was ruling in on Nibiru, right? In this other, I think another realm. If you want me to be honest, I think the alien thing maybe could be a psyop deception, but these stories, these mythologies, I think there is some truth in there, especially with the certain deities that you see in all these ancient cultures. But like I said, yeah, Elohim etymologies, Tyranny. I'll be doing those again soon. But anyway, did you guys have anything else y'all wanted to plug? Or
check out tomorrow's show on the Alchemy Mondays, because I'm going to be making tea in the Soxhlet extractor. You can do anything with the thing, but it'll be awesome. Get some good
content. You got a vacuum pump.
Yeah.
Well, that brought back memories when I was fucking making steroids in my kitchen.
Dude, they made me come down and sign for that thing.
Nice.
They made me
Hey.
come down and sign for it. They would not leave it on the porch because apparently the vacuum pumps are highly coveted in the drug making market because you can lower the temperature of anything that you're trying to boil to a degree that it's not going to be as dangerous. So these vacuum pumps keep the danger levels way down when manufacturing anything with this lab equipment.
You're like, no, bro, I'm not making drugs. I'm just doing alchemy.
I was just going to say,
completely
I was an
different.
alchemist before I even fucking knew it, dude.
Everybody is. You got to rediscover it.
So the people that cook methamphetamine, are they alchemists?
They are
Methanists?
certainly alchemists.
I was using the stove for
Methanists.
my shit. I literally had a beaker with stuff on the stove and mixing it and dissolving crap. And then I was filtered it. It was fucking pouring. Yeah. I had a vacuum sucking this shit through a filter. Yo, then I had 2 dudes bottling up the shit for me because I had so much to make. I couldn't do it. I was paying people.
Yo.
Don't get me started, dude. Don't get me started.
He's like, yeah.
My younger days. I am only 33, but I was a very wild young man in my later teenage years, my early 20s, before I had children.
Illuminati confirmed.
Yeah, guys. I took the deal, so.
Yeah. I'm doing so well. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment.
Somebody probably clipped that. Anyway, like I said, everybody go follow me on Twitter at Greypilled Pod, Instagram Greypilled_podcast, Rumble, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Like the stream, share it with your friends and family. If you want to support the show, you can buymeacoffee.com/Greypilled, Ko-fi.com/Greypilled, also patreon.com/Greypilled podcast. If you're a Rumble person, I have locals that I post all the private links to as well. We have the esoteric book reviews every Saturday morning. Headless will be on next Saturday for the Golden Ass. There's the book. I told you, Nick, he's going to pull it out one time during the stream. And so
I didn't say it.
I might be a asshole, so
okay. And then you get the link to the Discord where we have these little watch parties that we do, and you get a free sticker pack, early Elohim etymologies, deals on merch when I promise it's coming. Me and Subliminal, he has his Building 7 site. I'm going to have some merch put on there ASAP. But yeah, a lot of perks over there. It's a good way to support the show. Guys, y'all tune in to the Occult Reject show tomorrow. I guess, that's 5:00 Central, 6:00 Eastern.
Hell yeah.
And then I'm doing a show tomorrow. I'll keep people updated. Don't know yet. But this was fun. And go check out the stream from last night I did with my wife, and Season of the Rat, and then Conspiracy Extremists came on at the end. We had a good time. Anyway, guys, y'all stay Greypilled. Y'all got anything else to say? Y'all good?
Oh, check out the trilogues with me, Ethan Indigo, and Ricardo tomorrow. It's going to be a good time as well. And share these streams. Like and share, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, definitely.
Go post them up in some Facebook groups or some shit, too.
Yeah, I only streamed to YouTube because I didn't know if you wanted it streaming to the Facebook, but next time we can do the Facebook.
Oh,
too,
yeah, no.
All right, everybody.
Later.
Happy Saturday.